All right, we're here. We're ready for the preseason social race of Bwoah Racing League Season 5. And I'm Sarthak, and as always, alongside me, and for the rest of Season 5, it's Dalvin alongside me. What's up, Dalvin?
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back, everyone. Yes, I'm good, Sartek. It's been a really good off season, I think, and been a good refresher. New season's up. New drivers, new driver pairings. Everything's new. Got a new mic here, so I'm hoping the audience can hear us very clearly. And yeah, pretty excited for the social race to see how these new pairings go along.
Yeah, I'm excited too. We'll get the glimpse of some of the drivers' this pace who we've not gotten to see. Of course, we did have like a rookie showcase event of sorts, but clearly not all of us were there, including the drivers themselves. And even for this preseason social race, it's not like we've got all drivers here as well. So we have to wait for Sunday for most part, but some of the rookies, the likes of Envy and Legacy, who we've not seen in F1 cars, we should be able to get a glimpse of what they bring to the table.
Yep, indeed. And as we have seen from the F2 Championship, that was our season 4, and also the end of the season 3. So there are a lot of championship contenders, and it's a new game, Sartek. So, maybe someone may strike a potluck over here and get the game right out of from the get-go. It is a very, very, very steep learning curve, or as my league racing partner would like to say, a steep learning curve, because you'll find out very soon that the curbs are so deadly in F1 2021.
Yeah, I think I just saw a clip earlier on where it threw one of the gamers into the air, virtually, of course, threw one of the cars into the air, a particular curb. I forgot which track, but yeah, you can see all kinds of clips like that as part of F1 2021. But let's hope we have a rather clean season, and the social race should be good things to come. How do I join F1 in the Discord? I think you will see a Discord invite in the description of the live stream, Solo Funny. And if you don't see it, you can always go to our Instagram and DM us there.
Yep, while we're loading in, reminder to every driver to be cautious at turn 1. That's one of the curbs that will send you launching in Spain. That's the only curb that you really have to be careful of. Otherwise, you're pretty much safe throughout the whole lap. As always, 2021, it's gonna be something new. The curbs, there's nothing much to talk about this circuit other than the changes to the curbs. There's no new layout just yet. As we know in the real life, we have the updated turn 10, which is a swooping left-hander rather than a tighter left-hander, and drivers should take in mind, remember that we are racing in the old layout here, and not really the newest layout, and we might see someone maybe just explore the outer limits of the track. What do you say, Sarthik? Would someone really do that, confuse the game with the real life?
Well, let's see. They better have done their homework before they come in, because it's preseason social race. They're gonna figure out whether or not their competitor, whether they themselves are up to pace with their competitors. And with all 20 positions having points this time around, you'll have to finish to matter for the Constructors' Championship, wouldn't it?
Yep, indeed. That's the best part of a championship. Everyone scores a point that gives everyone a chance to fight. And that means every single point that you get today will or may matter at the end of the season. It's no longer top 10 scores a point, guys. Every point here, even if you're last P20 and you score a point, that's a good comeback. It's also an incentive for drivers who have a bad start or probably get into some collisions or even incidents with other drivers at the start or throughout the race. It gives them incentive to fight back and score at least the minimal amount of points, some damage limitation, probably for the championship leaders who we may discover soon. And
Yep, but
Sartek, what do you think have been the point situation for the past 2 seasons? Perhaps you have a better idea of what's happening.
Unfortunately, both seasons we saw the championship It's been a healthy fight, of course, but unfortunately, more often than not, it's been won in very weird ways. Season 3, the champion won by not even showing up. Season 4, KDB won it on track, fair and square, but his title rival didn't show up, so that was unfortunate. And for Soul of Honey in chat, who's asking PC only or Xbox, there is an Xbox League as well. So yeah, you can hit us up on Instagram DM. Also, something to note: today's points don't quite matter. There are no points for today, at least. But yeah, from Sunday it's gonna matter. And race number 1 is Portimao, so we can expect it to be entertaining as ever.
Indeed, Portimao, a new track on the F1 2021 game released last month in the latest patch by Codemasters, and along with that comes the performance patch, which significantly reduced the car speeds about 1 to 2 seconds overall on longer tracks. So we're expecting some drivers who may have had their hands on this game much earlier. They may be expecting some drop in performance. Will that be affecting them? We're about to find out.
Yeah, and also let's not forget there are going to be drivers out there who are probably sandbagging today.
Yep, Mercedes style, I guess, sandbag in the test and then show up for the first race and absolutely dominate the field. And we never know, with new drivers, the rookies alongside some experienced pro drivers, we may have a very, very strong partnership going on. We'll just have to discover that, and the social race is exactly the place for us to do that. So
Yeah, also, Dalvin, I don't know if you're doing it already, but if you could stream the game on to Discord for team principals, I think they'll be coming in and going out every now and then. So yeah, that's another.
all right, sure.
Yeah, that's another interesting aspect of our league, isn't it? The likes of all 10 team principals being non-drivers this time around, completely independent individuals who manage the team, played the race engineer role of sorts in the league for the drivers. So hopefully we'll see how well that plays out. Once we wrap up races and we talk to the podium finishers in the post-race chat, maybe we'll learn from them how effective having that individual in their ears tell them whatever they want actually helps them or not.
Yep, I definitely think it's more of a help if anything. You get the distances to the drivers on track. Perhaps you want to just eke out 1 or 2 more laps on your tires, go for the overcut, and look for a suitable gap to drop back in with fresh tires towards the end. Or you might just want to get an undercut on the driver in front, and if there's a gap appearing in the traffic, and that may present an opportunity for the drivers. At the same time, safety cars, VSCs also play into the strengths of these race engineers, where they could be able to spot out the little gap that the drivers just need to get their stops in and out of the way.
Yeah.
Perhaps we might see some interesting strategies being played out. Once on the likes that we have not seen before. With the race engineer, probably you might go for a weird 2-stop or a weird 1-stop at some tracks. Let's see that. Interested to see what's going to happen on track.
Yeah, just as we say that, a bunch of lap times coming in. KDB setting the fastest so far. Almost matching him is Oxygen on the mediums compared to KDB doing it on the softs. And I should mention earlier on when we were talking about the team principal aspect of the league, we had Hyrox24 who tried entering the pits, had a nasty little spin. So unfortunate for him, but it looks like we've already seen the first spin of the season.
As Valtteri Bottas like to say, traditions. Spinning on the game.
I should mention, I'll give you a bit of info on a couple of these drivers who are coming back, in fact, from Season 3. So, with the likes of Drunken Monkey. So, for those of you who don't know, Season 3 was Realistic Performance. Drunken Monkey was the driver who went neck and neck for the championship, at least in the first half of the season, with Big Man Joe. So he returns this time around. He's got a wheel, so he's upped in terms of input device, and also his teammate is Big Man Joe.
Yep, interesting partnership over there. And I think Season 3, like you said, was an odd one, where the driver didn't show up. Obviously, I wasn't there to witness the whole thing. But we have seen some interesting driving from Big Man Joe in at the end of season 4 and also in the F2 Championship last season. And now with a new partner on his side, I think, and the team principals along with them, I think, they're up for some shenanigans in qualifying at least. Perhaps a big uber mega tow down the pit straight. It's going to give
Perhaps.
you 4 to 5 tenths on the quali. And that might just give you the top 10 start that you need.
Yeah, we actually saw a lot of that from the Racing Point boys from last season, KDB and Sicknig. They're not in the same team anymore, but yeah, we can expect similar things maybe from all the teams around.
Yep, indeed. And in Spain, pretty much that's the only place on the straight that you want to do it. Then again, in the race situation, it becomes a all different story. You probably want to be sticking behind another driver instead of passing them. Charge up your battery and then go for that aggressive undercut or overcut. Then again, all driver partnerships are new. I might get them wrong from the get-go, and hopefully Sartak, you can correct me along the way when we get some driver partnerships wrong over here.
I'm probably with you on that, Dalvin, because a few moments earlier in the lobby, I think one of the drivers who's actually a reserve driver ended up picking the wrong car, and I didn't know which the right one was. So yeah, probably today's the day we learn that, and season 3 is probably a bit of homework for you. Go take a sneak peek at what Big Man Joe really can do out there on track when he's at his best. We did see a purple sector 2 from Mr. Wex. He sets the 5th fastest lap time out on track. Unfortunate to see his teammate retired already. But yeah, shock qualifying should end soon enough. Surprised to see more than half the grid yet to set a lap time. So obviously you're familiar with the likes of Dark Legacy's pace, right? And he's paired along with the likes of Freeze, who probably didn't have the greatest of second halves of season 4 out of all the other drivers out on track. But I must mention that in the first half he was able to lock out the front row on 2 occasions with his teammate. So 2 poles.
Yep, indeed. And probably he might be looking to do that as well in Spain. It is, a very, very difficult track to overtake around here. And as we see some early lap setters here, Oxygen though, I picked it up, 17.5 on the medium tires, looks like it. And KDB right in front with 17.4, just 1/10 quicker, but on the soft. So Oxygen here going for the alternate strat right from the get-go. Interesting strategies here coming out from these drivers in this early meta of F1 2021. What do you think about that, Sartak?
Well, look at it, right? To think that his pace almost matches KDB's around a single lap with the difference in tire compounds, what do you think he can do on those softs? Outright pole right off the bat. But yeah, I must mention both Oxygen and Eccentric are reserve drivers for the respective teams, so we won't get to see them throughout the season. But yeah, every time we do get to see them out on track, they're going to be incredibly fast.
Indeed, and looks like Oxygen's going to be breathing harder and harder as the race is about to start. 8 minutes left. I think he might just call it a day and leave it on the softs away, leave it on the mediums here, unless he just really wants to show his pace and go for the mediums run, on the softs run, my bad.
Yeah.
And just as we ride on board with Harry Rocks, that was the glitched car, and Harry Rocks loses it on the run up from turn 9 and runs into the wall at the exit of turn 9 and is out of the qualifying sessions. P7 for him for now. Will he be able to hold on to the top 10 though?
Yeah, I highly doubt that, considering the likes of Dark Legacy, Sicknig, Envy, and Freeze are yet to set lap times respectively. And yeah, of course, Eccentric in the mix. Not much to say right now. Drunken Monkey being 8th fastest puts him in the mix with quite the midfielders. Alongside him, you see Gambler, Wix356, probably not as close as they'd like to be. But his pace not too off. Drunken Monkey is someone who recently switched to wheel. So yeah, I'm actually looking forward to see how he does throughout the season. He runs off into the grass. UT, another driver who we might get to see in the top 5 more often.
Yes, just as you speak about UT, he gets demoted to P5 by Cuba Abi. Was it Obiero Wicks who just set a lap of 17.7 and goes up into P3? The top five
Okay.
really close there. KDB now showing his prowess and sets a 17.1 to take the pole by over 4 tenths now. And Oxygen, who's on his out lap here, on the softs now. Let's ride on board with him for a lap, shall we? And have a look at this magnificent track.
Yeah, but must mention Wix 356, right? He's someone who consistently was in the points, and seeing how his lap time's right up there in the top 5 already, probably we can expect great things from him this season. Great things from all the drivers for that matter, but Eccentric saying their fastest lap time as we ride on board Oxygen, who's probably going to beat it considering he's on the softs.
I was hate to spoil it to you, Sarthak. He just invalidated it at turn 2 onto the
Fortunate.
curve, running
There you
wide.
go.
And it looks like he's still pushing to get a good time on the board, although it's invalidated. Eccentric though, with a very nice time, I must say, with quotations there. 1:16.969. That's probably going into the screenshots for later, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But that's a really, really rapid lap, man. 16.9 on the mediums. Perhaps some practice going into the coming into this social race. I wouldn't expect anyone to be practicing or sweating that hard for a social race. But then again, it's all about the mental game as well, isn't it? The start of the season.
True. Yeah. Probably should mention that he's on the controller as well, Dalvin. There's news for you if you didn't know already. But yeah, we got a couple of drivers coming out of the pits. I see it's an Aston, so I wonder if it's UT or KDP. Could be UT. It is. Great. What do you think about the track as a driver yourself, Dalvin? I'd love to hear it, but Envy just beat Eccentric's lap time. Good friend of yours?
Indeed, championship rival, if I must say, over on the other side of the world. But this track, as a driver, I don't think there's anything that can be done by the drivers itself. Normally, in real life, it is a car-dependent circuit, but in the game, as we all know, it is realistic. It is equal performance. So. End of the day, it just comes down
We have a crash.
to how you set up the car as
I'm
well.
so sorry, Dalvin, but I had to cut you off. Baby Shumi had a horrible crash in one of the sectors. I think sector 2. Yeah, lost his drive, went onto the curbs, and that just threw him. Oof, not
And
something you like to see.
Oxygen spins at turn 9 as well, the same place where Harry Rocks had his spin, does a perfect 360 and runs onto the exit road and rejoins the track safely. Oxygen perhaps running a little aggressive setup over here for qualifying, which tends to pay off, but in the race it might not be the way he wanna go about it. So currently Oxygen still with a 17.5 on that mediums. He might just settle for that or go for another lap with fresher tires or the softs at the end.
Yeah. Unfortunate for Baby Shumi as well. We got 3 retirements in the first session of short qualifying. In the season itself, if we consider this, hopefully not too many come Sunday. But right now, fastest driver out there remains to be Envy. Just over 3.5 minutes left to short qualifying. You think things will change much, Dalvin? I don't see it changing at all.
Half a second ahead in the lead. I think Envy might just relax on this one. He's back into the pits. He might just go out for another glory run since he had a pole. So why not just go on another set of softs and a set of faster lap if he could. Then again, you don't want to be showing all your cards in the social race, do you?
Or maybe, but do you, though? You never know. I'm still a little shocked. Either the drivers at the back are actually sandbagging, which I highly doubt it, or Vix356 put enough time into this game to come out to be a real quick driver. And yeah, I think that his teammate is RB Ferrello. I'm pretty sure everyone's familiar.
Sorry, Sarthak, I lost you for a moment.
Oh, okay.
I had to reconnect to the lobby because I think someone's push to talk is not enabled, and I'm hearing all sort of things, which I don't think we will be very friendly for this stream to hear. So let me just reconnect with
no,
the
no.
mute default on. So just give me a second here.
Okay, no problem either way. We can't hear any of it, thankfully. But yeah, RB Ferrero paired with Vix356. 9 of you are watching. If you all are familiar with the names, feel free to drop in the chat what you all think about that driver pairing. Seeing Vix356's pace right now. Might just be the one to win the constructors, or maybe I'm jinxing already. Okay, I should probably just stop. But yeah, Envy passes lap out there with the likes of Kuberabi on his out lap, probably gonna set a lap time closer to his teammate. And as I say that, his teammate has retired, I presume in the pits or not. I see it out on the track. Folks watching, if you're new here, make sure you hit that subscribe if you haven't already. The Bwoah Racing League Season 5 begins on Sunday, and first race is Portimao. We are at the preseason social race around the Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya circuit. Said circuit twice, and Freeze sets the 8th fastest lap time out there. And we still fastest, just over 1 minute left short qualifying as he sets sector 1 purple, and he's not stopping there. He's gonna keep pushing. Interesting. See what kind of pace he brings to the table. Davin, you with me? Maybe not. So in time.
Yep, I'm here with you still, as always.
Okay.
Just waiting to reconnect to the lobby, and it's stuck at 100% loading. So you know what? It's for the time for the magical Alt F4, and I'll see you in a moment.
No problem. KDB is right up there in top 5. Think, oh, it's a spin for Envy. Unfortunately, he lost his rear and he's onto the grass. So, new lap time, maybe probably not. Opportunity maybe for KDB to set an even quicker lap time. Drunk Monkey down in 14th, Sicknig 15th as well. Sicknig's not on the wheel, he's on the controller. We got Gambler down in 16th as well. Mr. Wex on outlap, so probably see a bell lap time out of him. I remember checking Steam earlier on and seeing UK having a solid amount of time put into the game. So probably you're gonna not see him today. But come Sunday, we can expect some great things from the likes of UK and the other drivers who have missed out today as KDB invalidates his lap. Stay on board,
like you mentioned, Sarthak, I think every single moment that you have put into the game that might just make the difference at the end of the day here. Perhaps not so much in the social race, but for the upcoming races in the season, definitely every single minute that you put extra into the race, into the practice, you might just find something to edge out on your rivals over here.
Yeah, Kuberabi just set sector 2 purple and seems to have gone, but let's see if he can better his lap time. He should be able to be one driver. He beats 2, including his teammate who was on the mediums. Second fastest out there will start on the front row for the preseason social race. Envy had a spin, but his lap time's solid enough to give him that first grid spot. He'll start on pole. Probably not his last pole for the season. That's for sure.
Indeed. McLaren 2-3, very reminiscent of Monza, I shall say. And perhaps just maybe we might get a McLaren 1-2 here as well. Are we going to jinx it or are we going to reverse jinx it? Let's see how our luck turns out as commentators for this season. Exactly. And the top, I mean, Envy is pretty far away from the rest of the pack, but P2 to P3 and P4 even, it's pretty close, 3 tenths within them. And considering that some of them had their laps invalidated or not even perfect laps, I think we might just see some action in the race.
Yeah, 10 of y'all watching, make sure you drop in the chat which driver do you think will finish on the podium in the preseason social race. Of course, the results are for just context of the drivers' pace itself. As you can see, a lot of drivers in the top, 3 drivers in the top 10 who've decided to start on the mediums. Eccentric, Oxygen, and the likes of Freeze. I'm rather curious to see how this preseason social race will unravel for the likes of Vix356 and UT, because I, for one, didn't expect them to be where they are.
Yep. It's the preseason. Like you said, sandbags are still on. Nobody wants to show their hands. Maybe
Yeah.
some of them wants to show their cards just today and just give that mental and get the mental edge over the rivals. Like, hey, I'm fast. Just beware of me. Whereas others are playing the late game probably. And yeah, I'm not gonna show my card today. I'm just gonna hold it back just for a week or two or a day or two for the next real race, and we'll be back for that challenge. That kind of a mentality. Interesting to see how different drivers like to approach different races, and here we are
Yeah.
on the grid, getting ready to start.
Few moments ago, I was just mentioning how both Big Man Joe and UK aren't out on track, so we'll have to wait till Sunday to see them. But those two are competent drivers who we might just see mixing with the top 6 drivers out on track today.
Yep, two heavy hitters not in the social race, and perhaps that might just be a little bit of blessing in disguise for the rookies as well. Perhaps a bit of a pressure off from them, when they go up against the bigger names in the league, and yeah, maybe a chance for them to show off what they can do. Yep, and as we see the predicted pit stop strategy here, it's interesting: a 2-stop, a soft medium medium, and a soft medium hard. However, as we've seen in some other leagues, if you're very, very kind on your tires, you may actually stretch this to a 1-stop from the softs to the mediums at Spain, believe it or not. And it was pretty difficult to comprehend that at first. But, I think this game has done wonderful with the time models, at least. Not the other aspects, but time model at least is looking better than last year. And tires are much more durable. Of course, there are a lot of aspects in the setup as well. Some of the drivers might just go with a stock default setup and just YOLO it and
I highly
manage the
doubt that.
temperatures.
I hope no driver out on track is doing that. And yeah, maybe they'll snatch the front runners' setups every now and then. They are friends on Steam, so they can do that.
Yep, let's not forget, time trial is there. You can steal the fastest lap setup
Yeah.
and pretty much adjust it to your liking. Then again, how many people would like to do that? How many would like to go for their own setup? It all comes to a compromise. Do you want to go for a bit of Australian speed here in Spain where you can overtake, give you that extra bit of opportunity to overtake on the straight? Or are you just going to go with the high downforce setup, look after your tires and, just hold on to your dear life on the straights if you're being attacked?
Ferrari on pole. I'm pretty sure Ferrari fans would have loved to see that IRL. Hopefully this season. Who are you a fan of, Dalvin? I don't think I've ever asked you that question.
I'm a fan of Ferrari,
Oh,
so
okay. We are
I'm
the
secretly
same.
smiling as you said that.
There-
But it's interesting to see Ferrari and McLaren locking out the top three over here. So it's very reminiscent of the glory days of these two classic teams,
Yep.
as some would like to say. And yeah, we're getting ready, and all 20 drivers on the grid. Not
Yep.
20, I mean only 16 today. Traditions of saying 20.
Yeah,
However,
Yeah, top 3 are all rookies, Dalvin. So going into turn 1, we'll only find out in time how things pan out for them. We've got KDB in the mix, a champion from season 4. It's the pre-season social race, and it's a rookie on pole. Lights out, and away we go. Probably a bad start from the front 2 rows, but in the midfield, it's Dark Legacy, who's got a brilliant start. He's up in a P5 already. UT up a position as well. He's got KDB to worry about. Dark Legacy, but up in front, Envy steers away, and the McLarens are getting feisty with each other. The contact between the two as well. KDB up a position.
and Harry Rocks spins out at turn 2. First victim of the slippery curbs at Spain.
Yeah.
And yeah, Sartek, bring us up to speed. What's happening on the front? Sorry, you got to go once again.
No problem at all. We're in a huge Ferrari sandwich, some would say, with a Ferrari in front and a Ferrari all the way at the back. But
Indeed.
Drunken Monkey battling it out in the midfield. I think we've had disconnections as well, unfortunate for them. But it clearly is a statement here from the McLarens and the Aston Martins. Those two teams seem incredibly strong in the preseason
And
social race.
Drunken Monkey has a spin coming out of turn 9. And as we ride on board, we need Beryl Vix as well has a spin and is out of the race. And a VSC is out. And unfortunately, Drunken Monkey, who has the drive-through penalty for the jumps at the start, will not be able to serve his drive-through under the VSC. That's really unfortunate. We knows that he can't serve it. Otherwise, he might just be driving through the pits for no reason now. And will we see some early gambles? Perhaps someone who has damage boxing onto onto another set of tires. And Drunken Monkey, it seems like he is going into the pits. I hope he knows that
No.
the VS not count.
No. He gets a
As
5-second
he
time penalty
goes
as well.
into the
Darwin.
pit box. Yeah, he picks up a 5-second for the speeding into the pit lane. And it's pretty unfortunate for Drunken Monkey. However, VSC, pretty long. He might just be saved by that, and perhaps if there's a safety car later on in the race, he might just come back into the race real quick. Up front though, top 3, top 4, pretty much the same. Nothing much has changed. Envy, if anything, has stretched out just a slight bit of a gap.
We got Oxygen, who's lost a position or two. Dark Legacy seem to have had a strong start. We're back racing, of course, and I think we just saw one car go off track, and it was Dark Legacy. He's falling down the order. He's down P13. And unfortunate for Wix356, who retired. He was up there in the top 7, wasn't he?
Yep, and this is pretty brutal as what F1 2021 has shown us so far. One mistake and you're into the walls, especially given the different nature of these cars, how they handle compared to the previous game. And UT over here, KDB's junior teammate, as we'll probably like to say it, picks up a drive-through penalty during the VSC for speeding under the VSC, and Drunken Monkey looks like he might have picked up another drive-through. So 2 drive-throughs. I don't think he'll be a happy man over here, will he?
Nah. Definitely not after how this is panning out for him. But up ahead, Eccentric on the tail of his teammate. Mind you, Eccentric is the reserve driver for the team, with Gouts being the other driver alongside Cuba Rabi. So we're going to see Gouts in the mix come Sunday mostly. But yeah, look at the McLarens and the Astons go, Dalvin.
Yep, and Drunken Monkey, unfortunately, has retired. Looks like he has a spin on turn 2, and another VSC is out. And this might just not play into the hands of UT. Perhaps he was thinking of serving his drive-through penalty. And I hope he knows as well that, stopping under this VSC or safety car does not serve your drive-through. Hope he's aware of that and keeps it on the track for another lap or half a lap or so and come back to try it in the next lap. Then again, we never know what may turn out. It's just 3 laps into the race, 2 VSCs. It's getting quite interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
And UT picks up another drive-through there, and oh boy.
I was just going to mention that these penalties they want to avoid come Sunday. But yeah, Envy still holding on to that race lead. Cuba Abi probably not close behind, 1.5 second gap, but guess who's close behind whom? It's KDB, right on the tail of Eccentric, who's on the tail of his teammates. So how this is going to pan out will be interesting, considering he's got 2 cars of the same team ahead of him. Oxygen, however, taking it a little lightly. He's in P5. He'll be wanting to grab a position or 2 soon enough. KDB, all eyes on him.
Yep. As we were riding on board to the front drivers earlier, I just rode on board with UT, and fortunately for him, the VSC ended just before he entered the pit lane. So that means he has served one of his 2 drive-through penalties, and he still has another one on hand, which is really going to set him back quite far to the back of the grid. However, 29 laps to go. There's still a lot of things to fight for. As we all know, race is never over until the last lap, until the last corner, till you cross the line.
Oh, we have a spin. It's KDB. It's KDB. At the entrance to Sector 3.
Yep, and that looks like it doesn't look so bad. He recovered better. He's dropping down to P6 now, and he is boxing. Perhaps taking the opportunity to go for an early tire change or something. There's another retirement. Signic retires on the back straight, and the safety car is out. KDB, who boxes right before the safety car coming out, has he done A
Oh my
classic
god.
KDB strat over here.
Talk about things falling in place just for you, eh? And unfortunately, we
Yep.
won't be able to see Sicknick's retirement. His car's been cleared off the track already. Tried to stay on board with Envy, but yeah, things just fell into place for KDB perhaps. And UT's in the pits as well.
Yep. Putting on fresh set of medium tires by the looks of it. I still can't serve his drive to just yet. Hope he has realized that, and he would need to serve that at the. I mean, after the end of this safety car, so that's gonna be about three more laps where he can't get rid of his penalty. He would definitely need another safety car down the road in the race to save him and at least give him a fighting chance.
Yeah, and I think UT is having connection issues. He's coming in, going out, and whatnot. But yes, with safety cars still out on track, we got Envy leading this race. Eccentric behind. He did end up passing his teammate Kubarabi, who's right up there. Oxygen, Freeze, Baby Shumi, Vex, Gambler, KDB, and Hyox 24 wrap up the top 10. We had 3 retirements already. We got Avi in P11 and UT P12. Mind you, Avi, UT, good friends, so it'll be great to see them go wheel to wheel, and Dark Legacy still in it, but down in P13, unfortunate. How do you think this is going to pan out? Still early, 6th lap, so probably shouldn't pull out the prediction book, as I like to call it. But yeah, Oxygen leads this race. Dalvin, who do you think
Yep.
is right now at the best position?
I think KDB might have just been saved by that safety car. And NV Eccentric, Cuba B as well. All the top four from the first few laps have boxed. And Oxygen staying out. He was on the mediums, so he definitely wants to extend his stint. So, don't count him out just yet. It's early days. Everyone else behind him has to go a very, very long way on the mediums or hards, whichever they have taken. Something just caught my eye earlier, Sartek. I think Eccentric made a very, very big cut into the pit entry. And, if this is a real race, I think it's a pretty hefty penalty coming on his way. Although it's a social race, I think this might just get slid down the rug.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Yeah, probably, I'm sure. We have stewards who are not drivers as well this time around, which makes things even more transparent for all the drivers out on track. So yeah, you can bet that'll warrant a penalty for sure come race. And as you said, Eccentric went off track onto the gravel.
Yep, he runs wide and loses the position to KDB, while old Fox KDB returns the position to Eccentric, perhaps told to do so by the game, and by the looks of it, it is back to normal. So your P1 to P4 are now P5 to P8, although KDB and Kubarabi has swapped places. Envy now on the back of the queue of behind this top four. He might just be looking to chill for a moment, let the front four sort it out. Or what do you think? Is he going to go for the moves and go for the lead right off the bat?
Perhaps he possibly could, because mind you, Baby Shumi, Mr. Wex, and Freeze, at least based off of their qualifying pace, they were down in P9, P10, and P11 respectively, if I'm not wrong. And right now they're ahead of some of the fastest drivers in the league. So yeah, maybe they'll get past real quick, or it's an opportunity for them to go wheel to wheel with some of the best in the league.
Yep. Oxygen though, a very, very late call for him to box onto the hard compound tires. That might just cost him a lot of positions now, as he has been demoted to pretty much last to the back of the grid. And yes, he's out in P12 and losing the lead on the medium tires. I think that wasn't the best call. I'm not sure if his race engineer is here today. Some weird strategies going on in the Red Bull garage over there. But Oxygen now on the hard tires can go till the end. However, he needs to make sure he gets the moves done very, very early here.
Yep. And I think we can expect that from the likes of Oxygen. He's had one outing in Season 4 and he's ended up winning that race. I believe it was the Canadian GP of Season 4. So yeah, with a good lead as well. There was a good gap to KDB in that race, I remember. So yeah, probably a last to first challenge which he's personally put himself on. But yeah, Freeze leads this race. Not rare territory for him, that's for sure. Yeah, he's got Baby Shumi right behind.
Yep, as we speak about Baby Shumi, he has a drive through penalty, so that pretty much rules him out of the podium contention for now, which means Mr. Vex, NV Eccentric, KDB, Kubarabi, or these guys have a really good shot of at least challenging for the lead over here. Once Baby Shumi serves his drive through and the rest of the pack is released, and safety car is in this lap. Freeze leading the safety car restart is still pretty close to the safety car. He might want to just back it off a little bit, get some gap, and make a dash for the finishing line here. Let's ride on board, Sartak. Bring us to the start.
Restart safety car, Freeze takes off as you would expect, and that's almost a spinning Haas. Vex lost a bit of traction on the main straight, and that opens up an opportunity for Envy, but will Eccentric go for it as well? But Mr. Vex comes back to take his position, rightfully so, maybe late breaking into turn 1. Mr. Vex trying to fend off Envy as much as he can, but my oh my, he cannot. That's a real quick car behind a real...
I think that wasn't a late dive move from Envy. I think he might have gotten an illegal overtake on Mr. Vex because he crossed just before the finish line. So Envy though made a very good cutback and is back up into P3. Mr. Vex now losing positions onto the gravel, into P5, into P6, and he's dropping down like a stone.
We expected this, didn't we, Dalvin, with the likes of all these quick drivers stuck in the middle?
Yep, it tends to happen.
Yeah.
Even in real life, you get to see a lot of drama happening from the midfield. And on the front though, Freeze.
Glitch?
Perhaps.
Question mark?
It looks like he definitely ran wide over there, and Baby Shumi is back through into P1. However, won't be for long as he has to serve his penalty.
And look at Envy losing that spot to Eccentric instantly, and Eccentric's not going to stop there. Baby Shumi heads into the pits. Freeze being erratic out on track. I wonder if he's having any kind of issue. Should have the slipstream Eccentric, but right behind so does Envy. He's trying to come alongside Eccentric. KDB watches carefully right behind as well into turn 1. Who's going to have their nose out first? It's Eccentric. He's taken the race lead, but this train continues.
Yep, P1, 2, 3, and 4. They're pretty close. One mistake by anyone, and all of them might end up in the wall. And just looking at the close battles going on between these potential championship rivals, and it's very, very interesting to see the level of driving that they're displaying even in the social race. Pretty clean so far. We'd like to see a bit more of that in the upcoming races as well. And Freeze though picks up a 3-second penalty for running super wide there at turn 8. And KDB is right on his gearbox now.
Yeah, but this opens up hugely for Eccentric. He's steered away with almost a second's worth of gap, and KDB gets that pass, and so does Envy right behind. We've seen Envy do it before, and he's on the gravel.
On the gravel. Too early to say, isn't it? And his teammate gets past him. Oxygen gets past him as well, and we back down to P8, and that's a potential lead blown out of the race. However, long way to go. 24 laps to go, and it looks like the race is not over just yet.
I was just going to mention earlier on when we were talking about all these title rivals possibly going into Sunday. We did see Envy do a cheeky dive down the inside of KDB, but didn't quite work out his way. But it is what it is. Almost 2-second gap to KDB from Eccentric as he steers away happily. Freeze. The gap to Freeze as well, opening up, and Kuberabi rather strangely seeming out of pace.
Yep, and it's surprising as you said, because he is on the mediums and fresh mediums on that, and he's not really keeping in touch with the front three. And Eccentric, who's on the hards, actually is pulling away from KDB, who's on the mediums. Perhaps just getting the temperature right at the restart. Or maybe he just got a good getaway, and he looks like he wants to maintain this 1.5 to 2 seconds gap.
Yep. Let's talk about Envy and Oxygen for that matter, as Oxygen overtakes Envy's teammate Hyrox24, and Hyrox makes way for Envy as well. And Oxygen's up into P6 already.
Yep. Envy though, very close to Oxygen. Coming out of the last chicane here, Oxygen on the hards, Envy here on the mediums, gets a good run out of the corner, but nothing too spectacular. Oxygen gets DRS on the car ahead, and it's looking like a DRS train is starting to form, and this is pretty much gonna halt Envy's charge to the front unless anyone up ahead makes a mistake. As we know, DRS trains in this game makes it pretty much impossible to overtake unless you got a significant straight line speed advantage.
Great to see quick drivers from the front of the field all the way to the back, of course. UT seems to have fallen behind quite a bit. We did see a strong start, but he's down in P12. All eyes on these midfield drivers, Oxygen and Envy right now.
Yep, Baby Shumi as well, who was almost in the podium running position, now is back up into P11 and chasing down Avi's spins. And Baby Shumi will be looking to get a good comeback over here as well with 21 laps to go. And Envy still very close to Oxygen and Mr. Vex. It is a train from P5 to P7 now. And interested to see that, that's pretty much the only battle that is brewing up on the track at the moment.
Yeah, definitely surprised to see KDB holding on to that gap of right under 2 seconds to Eccentric. Perhaps a move, and yes, a move it is. Kuberabi gets it done on Freeze on the main straight, rather clean, and he will make that charge towards KDB next.
Yep, KDB now in a McLaren sandwich. I think there might be some team play coming here. Perhaps Kuberabi just might want to pressure KDB into making a mistake and giving Eccentric that extra bit of lead that we need. Then again, is KDB the type of driver who cracks under pressure, Sartak? Have you seen that before from him?
Nah, not once. I don't think he cracks under pressure. Definitely not. I mean, this guy went toe-to-toe with General Pepe, even when a lot of people sold out the Drivers' Championship at race 1 of Season 4 itself to General Pepe. I didn't think so. So KDB, he has that thing about him where he improves race on race. And as I say that, it's Envy who's possibly going to be his title rival, who's on the gearbox of Mr. Vex, who's threatened for position.
Yep. Just slightly behind Dark Legacy. Had a little bit of a spin coming out of turn 8. And as we approach turn 9, Mr. Vex now has a spin as well.
Yeah.
A cheeky little spin. And Harry Rocks gets past him at the final sector.
Fortunate for Vex, he's down in the P8 now. Up ahead, Oxygen closes in on his next position. Freeze needs to be taken out of the equation so he can take the fight to Kuberabi and KDB. Oxygen.
Yep, and Freeze is within a second now of Kuberabi in front. Both of them on the mediums, so it's just pure pace and skills to get past. If Freeze can keep this up, he might just get an easy move onto the next raid. Then again, Sector 3 will prove very difficult to follow. And as we can see, riding on board with Freeze, it is very, very difficult to follow, even in Sector 2 in this high-speed section. And yeah, coming on to the Sector 3 now. Isn't much to do other than just hanging on to the DRS and staying within a second. Oxygen now joins the battle for P3. It's a train forming up for P3 right now. And Envy is soon to join the train as well. And I think he has just joined the train. So right on cue. 4-man train for P3. What's going to happen?
Well, Envy's had this series of habit, perhaps. Yes, the habit. Let's just call it a habit in the preseason social race. Freeze heads into the pits. So that's a position for Oxygen as well as Envy, I presume. But yeah, Envy, he was able to tuck in right behind whoever was in front of him. Whenever they end up making a move on a competitor out on track, and we might just see him tag along with Oxygen all the way to the likes of Eccentric.
Yep.
But yeah, next up.
Smart play perhaps by him because he is on the mediums now. He has stopped from his soft tires and he definitely wants to take these tires as long as possible, hoping for another safety car perhaps at the end of the race to go on to the softs or another mediums, whichever may present the opportunity.
Eccentric leads this race on the 14th lap, almost halfway through the preseason social race, and the closest two competitors remain to be Oxygen and Envy.
Yep, Eccentric on the hard tires probably has a bit more to push, given that he can make it till the end on these tires, whereas the medium runners for the on the likes of KDB, Kuberabi, and Envy, they probably have to look after tires just a tad bit more to make it till the end if there's no more safety car. Otherwise, I think they're risking a very early puncture around lap 25, 26, I must say. Um, Saying that, Envy gets a very good exit coming out of the last corner, goes on the offensive on Oxygen. P4 and 5 are battling it out. Oxygen loses the position to Envy, and Envy cleanly around the outside takes P4 now.
Clinical from the likes of Envy, but I don't think Oxygen is going to let that slide. He's going to stay right behind Envy and somehow make up that time going into sector 2. You can expect them to be wheel to wheel on the main straight yet again. Perhaps?
Perhaps, definitely. We may see another overtake attempt coming soon. And as we speak about pit stops, let's see. Mr. Wax makes his pit stop right now and rejoins in clear air in P11 on the hard tires. So he is going till the end, and he has the whole track to push for.
Yeah, huge gap to make up for. Over 6.5 seconds to Baby Shumi, so he'll be working on that just as Envy and Oxygen work on climbing up the pack towards their rivals KDB and Eccentric. Cuba Rabi doing fantastic in P3, but finding it difficult to close the gap in front to KDB, but doing an incredible job at keeping Envy and Oxygen behind though.
Yep, right, let's ride on board with P4. Envy here goes on the attack on Cuba Rabi in P3. Cuba Rabi is pretty much a sitting duck on the straight, no DRS, and Envy makes it look so easy with that Ferrari. Perhaps the car is just still running that 2019 engine, isn't it? Makes it so easy on the straights.
Of course, we'll say that as Ferrari fans, but yeah, you didn't hear anything from us. Let's just say that it's all Envy.
Yeah,
He's
that
up
did
in
not
a
happen,
P3.
right?
Yeah. It's all Envy. He's up in a P3. Oxygen couldn't replicate what Envy usually does, which is stuck right behind the driver in front and get a position up a notch. But yeah, now he's got Cuba Rabi to worry about, and he's beyond half a second in terms of gap as KDB racks up a 3-second time penalty.
Yep, and I think Eccentric here is just lap by lap running away with the race lead, and also I don't want to say it so early, but definitely the race win is in his hands at the time being. KDB picking up a time penalty behind him. Envy though, getting ever so closer to KDB as well. And I think these two in P2 and 3, they might be battling it out for the second and third spot. But the tires are not going to last. Eccentric here, I think he has pretty much done what he needed in the early laps to get a gap, and he'll only be getting stronger with the hard tires at the end.
I must mention Hyrox 24, regardless of the incident earlier on in the first couple of laps, he's managed to hold on to that P6 spot pretty well.
Yep, running in clear air and no one behind, no one in front of him. Pretty lonely race for him at the moment. Yeah, he still has to catch up to Oxygen, QRB and NB up in front. So race still not over. As we always say, it's not over till it's actually over. And who knows, perhaps there might be a late safety car as well. And KDB, I think it's finding it a bit difficult in this social race. Picks up another 3-second penalty, and there's a spin, which is KDB running up to turn 9. Spins at turn 8 once again. He might have lost his wing as well. Loses his position to Envy and Cuba Rabi. And Oxygen now gets past him. And it's going from bad to worse, isn't it, for KDB? Yeah. Although it's just a social race.
Yeah, but he'll close that gap. I'm pretty sure he'll be back in the top 3 in no time. I'd like to think so. But let's not forget, it's the likes of Oxygen and Cuba Rabi he needs to pass soon enough. Things might have just changed for Envy. Now he doesn't have to worry about a single thing apart from closing that gap. But that's not a small gap, is it? It's over 9 seconds.
Indeed, it is over 9 seconds, and although it looks like it is coming down right now, but then again, these medium tires will fade out and the hards will just get stronger ever so slightly every lap. And KDB is into the pits, boxes onto the soft tires here, so definitely a very big gamble here to go on the softs till the end. But if there's someone who could pull it off, probably it's him.
Yeah, and as we were talking about KDB, Oxygen got the move done on Cuba Rabi and is up in a P3 right now on hards, of course. Next up is Envy. For how long? Look at that huge gap between Cuba Rabi and UT, over 20 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, If anyone in the top four, would like to pit for a fastest lap attempt, they definitely have the gap opening up for them towards the end of the race. And as you were speaking about oxygen, right? I think these hard tires are slowly coming into play more and more, and you can see the gap coming down ever so slightly to Envy again. Eccentric though on the front picks up a 3-second time penalty. May or may not matter at the end, but let's see how it turns out.
And as it sits, Eccentric leads the pack, and then we right close behind, and it seems like Hyrox 24 is closing on Baby Shumi, who's accompanied with the likes of Mr. Wex. Train in the midfield.
Yep, interesting train. KDB leads the train of all people, but he seems to be pulling way out of the train, and soon it might just be Baby Shumi, Hyrox, and Mr. Vex. And all these three drivers are just separated by a second. Mr. Vex gets a poor exit though. However, Harry Rocks gets the slipstream and the DRS on Baby Shumi. Baby Shumi's rear light is blinking, which means he is under 10% ERS right now, and is desperately trying to defend his position. Perhaps next lap, Harry Rocks senses an opportunity to snatch that P8 out of Baby Shumi.
Perhaps, but up ahead, KDB up in a P6, right behind his teammate now. Got that move done on Freeze, but let's go right back to Hyrox 24, who seems to be the driver closest to another competitor. Curious to see how this battle will pan out. Baby Shumi going a bit wide, having a nasty exit through that corner, and Hyrox 24 should be poised to pick off that position come Sector 3, if not the main straight.
Yep, definitely. It looks like he's setting up a move for the main straight here. Although saying that, he might actually even go for it into turn 10 with a better exit. ERS and DRS, they're going side by side, and there's a little bit of contact, but Baby Shumi and Mr. Harry Rocks here makes it out clearly, and they'll survive to fight it out onto the pit straight next. In the meantime, Mr. Wax though, he is sensing the opportunity as well to snatch the P8. Harry Rocks runs wide at the chicane, and Mr. Wax get the much better exit onto Harry Rocks. However, both will be having DRS, so I think Harry Rocks might just survive for another lap. Oh no, actually I'm mistaken. Harry Rocks doesn't have DRS, and Mr. Vex takes opportunity and goes up into P8 right now. And what looked like an attack on P7 has turned into a defense for P8 for Harry Rocks, and he drops down to P9 right now. So it's really hitting up there for P7 now.
Yeah, it is. Guess who's closed that gap to within a second up in front? It's Oxygen to Envy. Let's quickly switch there as Eccentric sets the fastest lap time of the session, 1 minute 19.197. Oxygen
hard tires phasing in really well into this portion of the race, and as you can see, Eccentric just eking out the gap lap by lap, and Oxygen closing in ever so slightly. And there's a Ferrari spinning in the middle sector, which is Harry Rocks 24 has spun coming out of turn 7 and 8, a very common place to spin, and he just loses all his progress. He's down back to P10.
Yeah. Up ahead, Mr. Wex gets that move done on Baby Shumi, and now he's got 4 seconds to close in on Freeze.
Yep, Freeze running his own pace here in P6 on the hard tires will definitely go till the end. Up ahead of him is KDB, who is trying to make up some positions, although he's not catching as fast as we expected, isn't he, on the soft tires here?
Yeah, clearly isn't. He's got a huge gap to close in as well. So yeah, it's gonna take him quite a bit of time. We're on the 21st lap with the Eccentric leading the race. Yeah, just a bunch of drivers closing in on their gaps. I think we can possibly call the podium already, but knowing that the likes of Oxygen and KDB still lots to come from them in this race, probably a bit too early. 11 laps left.
Envy's boxing, and this might be a very bold strategic call for him to he's probably looking to go on the softs here. He might have sensed that the P2 is out of his hands. He might as well just take a faster tire towards the end and charge back through the field. And seeing that, Kubarabi responds as well and boxes on for another set of tires and also onto the mediums here. So Envy, in the grand scheme of things, has not lost a major position. Worst case, he might have been in P3 if he got overtaken by Envy. But now, overtaken by Oxygen. But now he is 10, just over 20, just under 20 seconds behind Oxygen. And as we have seen in real life, the fresh tires might just actually outperform the old hard tires. Maybe we're gonna see Envy fighting for the P2 here.
Perhaps, and let's not forget about KDB, who's on only 3-lap-old softs, closing, and now he has a shorter gap to close in on, just under 3 seconds.
Yep. Target locked on Kubarabi, who's just 3 seconds ahead of him. KDB definitely on the soft tires, which may be faster at this stage. However, I think Kubarabi might just look to pull away in the coming laps to avoid losing that P4. Eccentric, in the meantime, just doing eccentric things, I guess, today, and setting the fastest lap on the old hard tires, which are really looking like a really good race tire over here, towards the later part of this race.
Yes. As it stands, Eccentric continues to lead. I should mention at this point, perhaps, that Eccentric's the reserve driver for the AlphaTauri team. Of course, opportunity opened up that all 3 drivers of AlphaTauri were ready to come out on track, and the whole grid wasn't there either. So they're running all 3 drivers. So great to see him up in front, while the likes of his teammates Dark Legacy and Freeze down quite below. So yeah, you can expect great things every time this reserve comes out on track as well.
Yep, and Baby Shumi there picks up a 5-second penalty for speeding into the pit lane. Everyone is clearly not up to speed, not fully acclimatized to this new game just yet, but come the first race, second race, I think everyone's gonna be a bit more competitive and up to pace as well. Then again, like we've been keep banging on for the past hour or so, it's a social race, so perhaps not everyone really practiced for this, isn't it?
Precisely. And again, this is a track we'll see later on, much later on into the season itself. All eyes on Portimao. I think we're going to see a rather different result come Portimao. I don't think the drivers who we really expect to see up in front will be in front. We did see Vixie 56, who was pretty strong in qualifying, and until he ended up retiring, he was up there in the top 7. So I'm rather curious to see how he'll do come Portimao.
Yep, and I think Portimao is a very interesting track as well. Oh, and that's just yellow flag right out there. Looks like Ferrari, and it is Envy who has spun it at turn 2. And that might just end his charge for P2 right now. And Kubarabi is just 1 second behind Envy now. Envy must be having some hot tires after that spin, and Kubarabi senses the podium right here, right now.
In the preseason social race, which better place to prove yourself at, right? Show that you bring everything to the table, your best to the table, in fact. And he's going to be alongside Gout, so you can expect great things for the constructors as well for the entire season. But yeah, should be able to get the move done on the main straight, perhaps.
Maybe not, because Envy, I think he's just recovering his pace very quickly here, and he's already out of 1 second gap, and Kubarabi might just look to call it off and just hang it out for another day here.
Gambler heads into the pits. He's pitting after 13 laps on the mediums, and soon enough fresh set of softs on. Eccentric continues to lead this race. Huge gaps up in front.
Yep, and as the race unravels, I think the action pretty much gets less and less, and not gonna jinx it, but there's less chance of a safety car right now, unless someone bins it.
Let's hope no one bins it then, but it is Spain. I mean, I'm pretty sure everybody's acquainted with the track, and we can only expect things like this to unravel. And on this track, hopefully, I keep talking about Portimao. I just can't stop talking about Portimao, David.
Portimao is a great racetrack, man. Yeah. It's full of medium speed corners, that off-camber medium speed corners that will just would like to throw your car into a spin if you just get a bit trigger happy. But at the same time, if you get it right, I think it rewards you with so much lap time, and it's just so satisfying to drive around there. We just had our league race last week over there, and and scored my best finishing in the league for that a P4 though, but it was a very challenging race, I must say, because Portimao, as we know from previous leagues, other leagues as well, it has been said that it is very erratic on the weather. It may go to dry to wet or wet to dry, and I think
Interesting.
that might be a challenge for the drivers in terms of approaching the setups.
Oh, and we've got a spin. Speaking of challenges, Mr. Vex has had a spin in the entrance of Sector 3. He's going to make his way back on track, but he's lost a position to UT. Opens up an opportunity for Baby Shumi, but how much, I wonder. He's back on track and he's going as well. Yeah, back to Portimao. I've heard that too as well from a couple of drivers from another league I'm acquainted with. But yeah, I'm just looking forward to it, regardless of the weather, regardless of everything. It's a brand new track. We don't have any kind of last season data, and it looks like Mr. Vex is retired from the session. That's a voluntary retirement as he heads into the pits. Probably not something he'd want to do on come race day, because all 20 positions, like we mentioned earlier on, have points up for grabs.
Yep, provided you finish the race.
Yeah.
However, Mr. Vex, given that it's a social race, I just call it off a day and head off to the bait real early and prepare for the first race of the season. And speaking of new tracks, Sarthak, later down this month, I think we're gonna get Imola as well.
Yeah.
A very classic track, and I think it's a track that everyone will love. Probably even more than Portimao. Imola just looks so nice in real life, and yeah, I'm really excited for that as well.
Yeah, Baby Shumi picks up a 3-second time penalty, but back to the topic in hand, Imola. We're not only going to get Imola, we're going to race at Imola by the time we're going into the next month as part of the league race. Our league calendar itself is designed around the unveiling of all the 3 new racetracks. As UT closes in on the likes of Freeze, a clean move on the main straight and into turn 1, he'll be up in a P6. But how much long can he keep that position? I think he's got it as long as Freeze can't close in as much. He's gone off track as well, Freeze, so he's only going to lose time come next sector.
Yep, Freeze on 12 lap old medium hard tires compared to UT's 6 laps old medium. So UT definitely on the fresh tires here, looking to pull away and secure the 5 and 6 for Team Aston Martin, which another name that we might get confused this season, or probably call it a Racing Point or Force India, whichever it might be. One of the teams that we may have to get adjusted to alongside Renault Alpine, the new teams, the new rebranded teams, if you might say.
Yeah. Beautiful liveries. I mean, I just love to see that Aston Martin out on track. But yeah, KDB and UT again together, but UT's off track. He's on the gravel. Contact between him and Freeze as well, but Freeze back up in a P6, the position he held earlier on before UT got that pass on him. And come main straight, we're back to P6 Freeze, P7 UT. And the gaps have extended throughout the pack, with the largest gap between UT and Baby Shumi being 28 seconds. However, it is reducing quite a bit. Oh, is Rare spun out a bit, Baby Shumi. Unfortunate for him. But he'll be back on track. Shouldn't quite be that big of a hiccup. Eccentric continues to lead this race. Probably will set the record for most laps led at some point if he had been a main driver, but he is a reserve, so that record will stay with KDB. If I'm not wrong, KDB holds that record for most laps led in the league. Gambler trying to close in on Hyrox 24, not to take away anything from these drivers, because they're in their own battle at the back of the pack. Sector 1 lights up yellow. I wonder if that is an Alpha Tauri and Red Bull. I think that's a back marker alongside front runner. Now the main straight Gambler will stick to P11, P10. Dalvin, if you can hear me, we can't hear you. Just letting you know.
It's okay. I'm just,
okay.
having fun with my new mic, pressing the mute button whenever I'm not speaking, and occasionally forgetting that I'm actually muted. But that's blessing in disguise, in a way that I'm not gonna, speak of
Yeah,
the the things.
of course. I can imagine. Um, but yeah, great to see the likes of Cooper Abbey in the mix of Envy and KDB, because we need to remember Eccentric and Oxygen, they're reserve drivers. We might not see them through the course of the season itself. So the real title fight we might just see is between the likes of Envy, Cooper Abbey, and KDB, at least right now as we stand with the 16 drivers out on track, right?
Yep. And as you mentioned, eccentric here, he did box onto the soft tires earlier, in response to the drivers behind him boxing. So that opened up a gap for him, and he went onto the soft to set the fastest lap of the race, for 1:17.1, and I think he's miles ahead. 3 laps to go, 3.5 laps to go. He just has to bring it home right now, not push too much, and bring home a first victory in the league. Although it's just for pride, but it adds on to your moral boost here.
Yeah, for sure. Preseason social race winner. Perhaps.
And ADB still 2.5 seconds catching up to Kuberabi. Maybe ever so slightly losing the pace over there. And might not be anything left for him to challenge Gambler as well. Catching up to Harry Rocks. Both of them on pretty similar age tires. P10 is still up for grabs. Remember, folks, we do have points for every position. However, with that comes an extra motivation to get that extra single point that you might want to get from P10. Given that if this was a real race, I think the drivers would have probably risked it a bit more.
31st lap, closer than ever to the finish, and I don't see the gaps reducing anymore. I think the best switch in results we'll see is between Gambler and Hyrox 24. But let's have the penalties up on screen, 6 seconds each. So, okay, Envy's within 6 seconds of Oxygen. So that just might play into his hands. He might just be able to pick up P2. David, you might have just hit that mute button again, but as we can see, it's going over 6 seconds for Envy, 11 seconds for Baby Shumi. I don't see him losing the position, however. But yeah, Envy might just be set for a P2 finish.
Yep, 6 seconds there, very close, just hovering within a tenth or two of the 6 second mark. And Envy, I think, definitely notices that he is pushing with all his might, with all his ERS that is remaining, and try to close back the gap to Oxygen.
That's not too much ERS he has either. But yeah, oh my god, he's at this point so close for that P2 position. Of course, it is the preseason social race. How much it means, you can only ask the drivers themselves, because we've got quite a bit of drivers who've not showed up. When I say quite a bit, I mean the quite strong ones in the league. The likes of Big Man Joe and not Baby Shumi, but UK as well. He's within the 6 second mark yet again, and I think we're just going to stick to this because this seems awfully close. 3 second time penalty for Eccentric, but that shouldn't make a difference because Oxygen's got a 20-second gap to close in on, and he's got 6 seconds worth of time penalty to his name as well.
Yep, and still riding on board with NB, he seems to be losing a little bit of touch to Oxygen in the middle sector here. And but is making up a lot of time on the straight, so it's still going back and forth. We're not gonna lie. I think I'm on the edge of my seat over here to see who comes out in P2.
Of course,
it's just one or the other.
Yeah, it's slipping away from Envy right now though. But yeah, Eccentric begins the final lap of the preseason social race. Win on the horizon, quite the super sub, as I'd like to say. These two, Eccentric and Oxygen, at the front of the pack, driving their own races, some would say. 3 second time penalty for Freeze, 9 seconds worth of penalty. UT possibly could, or maybe not. He's got 10-second gap to close in on, and a 3 second time penalty. Envy's within 6 seconds yet again.
Yep, he is looking like he's catching on the straights, but it's in the corners where Oxygen is making back all the time, and both these drivers on their last legs, pushing to the last bit of ERS that they can use, last bit of tire grip that this car can offer, and it's gonna go down to the wire here.
Yeah.
Looks like it, isn't it?
Yeah, seems like it, but all eyes on Eccentric, the super sub, as I mentioned. He's in the McLaren, but he's part of the in-game Alpha Tauri team, the team principal Prophecy. He was there in Season 4 as well. He was the team principal of General Pepe, and this time around his reserve stronger than ever. As he comes across the final corner, Eccentric, how much this matters to him, we'll find out eventually, but as he weaves that car on the main straight, he wins the preseason social race with Oxygen, the other reserve driver in the league, just as quick as him perhaps, comes across sector 3. Envy is still beyond 6 seconds. Baby Shumi picks up a 5-second penalty, and that ends his race as well. Oxygen comes across the main straight. Will he keep P2? He just might.
Just might. Envy
Yeah.
crosses the line, misses by a tenth of a second, and still takes on the P3, and that might be a very good result at the end of the day. A good fight put up by both drivers. Kubabi comes home in P4 for his debut on the social race. KDB, after
We have a spin. I'm sorry to cut you
Disappointing.
off. It's Freeze. His front wing's gone. And I think that
oh
was
no,
on purpose,
he's
perhaps.
having some moment on the last corner here. UT though, he might just get a cheeky P6
Yeah,
here.
he
He's
just
within
might.
6 seconds of freeze. Looks like it. Let's have a look. Perhaps this might be at the end of the race. 3 seconds. Oh, it just ends up in P7 regardless. Was a close fight at the end by all these drivers. I think Baby Shumi there picks up the driver of the day. I think he'd be happy with that as consolation.
Yeah, probably Freeze wouldn't want to do that come a race day, considering points are up for grabs, all 20 positions, so every position counts. But yeah, it's Eccentric on the top step of the podium with the likes of Oxygen right behind and Envy to wrap it up. Kubarabi P4 and KDB P5. These are the 5 drivers you gotta look out for in Season 5, with all eyes on the likes of Kubarabi, Envy and KDB, the main drivers who we'll see out on track more often than anyone else.
Yep. Unfortunate though for the likes of BRL Vix, Drunken Monkey, Signic and Mr. Vex, who had their DNFs early on in the race, and we know they have a significant potential. We know what they can bring to the table in terms of challenging the leaders, or even challenging everyone else on the track. But perhaps the new game is still not fully acclimatized to them, and I think they'll definitely be looking to get some revenge, or some payback, come the first race, or at least the next round, when we come back to Spain here.
Yeah.
So, yep, looks like a good race there.
Yeah, Portimao next on a Sunday, and I think we can wrap it up there, Dalvin. I'm excited as ever for Portimao already. We brought it up more times than Spain itself today during the race, and hopefully we
Yep.
can expect great things from all the drivers. A full racing grid we can expect as well. So we leave it there, folks who came by. Thank you very much. We'll see you on Sunday for race number 1.
Yep, bye-bye.